I had to make a separate TikTok for this. The worst culprits when it comes to juju. The most dangerous culprit, the one who jujus the most, is a mother, followed by the father. Your enemies come after your parents. The mother, especially when it's a girl child, is the most dangerous.
Hey y'all, the good homegirl here. So, I know that we've all dealt with this in some capacity, whether it's with our own mothers or maybe an auntie, some of us grandmothers, or we've seen our friends go through it. So, today I'm coming to y'all about narcissistic mothers. A lot of us grew up trying to be everything that our mothers wanted us to be. We didn't even know what that was. We just knew that it was like a bid for their love and affection, right? A lot of us, it took us a long time to look up and realize, like, oh, damn, you're the reason why things in my life are going so wrong. And even if they weren't directly sticking their hand in it, right, they were playing mental mind games with you so that you would move accordingly. So I'm going to play these couple of TikToks and I am going to come back at the end with my 2 cents, and I would love to hear what you guys think.
The mother fucks up her daughter's life. She fucks up her daughter's career. She fucks up her daughter's love life. If you're having difficulty getting married or having difficulty keeping a man, look at your mother. She is the major culprit. Everybody else comes after your mother. You know, I know it's the most horrifying thing and it's the saddest thing, but the jealousy of a mother towards her offspring is real. Many mothers don't want their children to do better than them, even though they say they, especially daughters, they will say the right words. Even go to church and go, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. But in the dead of the night, in the darkness, when they think they can't be seen, they are the ones who fuck up your life, and your life just does not make sense to you. And once a mother opens that door to your energy, once she rips open your natural protection from God that you were born with, and she can do it so easily because she's your mother. Once she does that, all bombs from friends, your father's sisters, your mother's sisters will come flying in and hit you and hit you and hit you and hit you. If you are extremely miserable, especially if you are a girl, know that your mother did it. She did it. She's the culprit. A mother fucks up her daughter's life.
Y'all gotta go watch that video. Oh my God. She's talking about mothers who are jealous of their daughters. Wow. These kind of mothers are dangerous to your existence. Whenever you try to separate yourself from them, they make up all kind of shit. They'll say they dying. They'll act like you the worst child that was ever born. They try to live vicariously through you. Nothing you do is ever good enough for these hoes. When I tell you, sometimes your worst enemy can be the person who gave birth to you. Boy, that's some dangerous shit. And a lot of us, we push that shit on the back burner and act like it doesn't exist. But you need to pay attention to your childhood up until right now. See, you weren't responsible for your childhood, but for right now, accountability must be taking place right now. And understand that some of y'all life is the way it is because your mother intentionally fucked it up. She did it on purpose. Because if she didn't get a chance to do some of the things that you're doing now, oh, she definitely can't stand your ass because you got a way to get out and she couldn't get out. So when they feel trapped, they use your ass as a pawn on the chessboard to keep you sedated like they always have been. Y'all better wake up your mammy
Man, I just watched a video of a young lady crying because her mom literally beat her. The girl, like her and her mom both work at Amazon, and her mom was trying to talk her into getting like some prepaid debit card or something to get her money put on or whatever. So the girl told her mom like she'll think about it and she might do it and all of this. The girl ended up not doing it and getting a direct deposit. Somehow this upsetted her mom to want her mom to beat the girl over that. The only conclusion I can come to is her mom wanted that girl's money. And when it didn't work out the way she tried to get it to work out, she then beat the girl and then put her out and then told her like, you won't be getting any more rides from me to work. She won't let the girl get her clothes. I need people to know that it is a lot of women who have girl children and they don't like them. They're jealous of them. They're spiteful. They're deceitful. You know what I'm saying? Because they might have not been given the love that they wanted as a kid. But to me, if you didn't, to me, you would give your child all of that love and then some because you didn't get it. But some women, just because you can have kids don't mean you should, because I'm hearing a lot of stories of how young girls have been mistreated by their moms. And it's jealousy and it's hateful. I want to hear some of you guys' story. Tune in and let me know if you've experienced this as a woman and growing up with your mom being mistreated.
I don't know if it's just my mom, but I don't like when people like, they just want to talk to you for information. I don't live with my mom. I haven't lived with my mom for years, but whenever I talk to her, we don't have a relationship. We never had a good relationship, but every time I talk to her, she's never like on no good, like, hi, how are you timing? Like, even if she is on that, she's on that to get information. Like, it's not to help me or anything. It's just to know and then to do nothing about. Like, I remember some shit happened to me and I needed help and she wouldn't help me, but she wanted to know everything that happened. And I'm like, why? So you could tell me I told you so? And that's exactly what she did. My thing is, like, why are you like forcing your way into something but you're not gonna help? Like, I never understood people like that just want to know stuff just to know but not help. Like, what is your goal? Who are you helping? Nobody. Like, I really don't understand that shit. Like, I could just do this shit by myself, but you want to act like you're gonna fake help me, put a facade that you're gonna help me and not do shit behind that. Like, I never understood people like that. Like, you could do like all of that in silence. You could just shut up and not help. Like, you could just never open your mouth ever, but you don't do that. I don't understand why it's so hard to just close your mouth forever.
Signs your mother is jealous of you. Okay, so a lot of girls throughout my life have actually talked about this with me, and I feel like it's something that doesn't get talked about enough. It's just one of those things. The first sign is if she is constantly putting you down for like no reason. There are so many girls I know that I'm friends with that have literally come to tell me that their mom like hates on them with their weight. And most of the time it's a girl who looks perfectly healthy and normal. It's just the mom is insecure with themselves. Another sign is if she is only there for you when you're at your lowest. Sometimes I've seen moms take pleasure in like whenever their daughter is feeling bad about themselves, because for some weird reason it makes them feel good about themselves. This ties into my next sign of like if they can't feel happy for you. If you're feeling like every single time you bring up something good in your life when things are actually going well and then she starts like bringing up old shit, it's kind of weird. Let me know if you want a part 2.
Of China.
How can I be jealous of someone that I birthed?
I feel like my mother's jealous of me.
Listen carefully. Let's go back to your first question. Your mother probably is jealous of you, and she has to deal with it, and so do you. Mm-hmm. Listen to this. Me and China never had a problem a day of life. And what's so funny is we did 4 different shows. That 5.7 seconds sealed the deal. Did you not see before that the show where we were on my porch and I said, Rob, don't do this to China because I was the only one that raised you and your father, nobody was around. She hugged me and said, yeah, Mom, you're right. Mm-hmm. So they didn't see all of this. They don't see that I was her manager. I was Angela's manager. Mm-hmm. I'm the one got her things and made sure she stayed up and got straight. No, we didn't have those type of problems. Those problems were created. My daughter was spoiled rotten. Little bitch still is. Yeah. See, if I had a daughter that was like you, that would be so much different. No mother in the world could possibly be jealous of her own child. I'm Mama Bear. Who don't know that? Drop a dime by her and see what happens. No, I'm just the one that's strong-willed and strong-minded. Yeah, and I got to be the leader, you know? But sometimes when you're the leader and you're trying to lead your kids and they want to be a leader because they want to be just like you, but this is how kids supposed to do. You're supposed to want to be like your mom, you know? And this was my kid. No jealousy whatsoever. I could never be. I chastise. And I chastise because once someone get to a certain level, there's no people around to say, don't do these drugs, don't do that alcohol, don't do that. They're going to be like, okay, whatever you say. I'm not going to do that because at the end, your demise, something happens to you. Guess who's going to be with you? Me. And me only.
Hey family, so I was talking to you guys yesterday about like toxic, proving that you're in a toxic family, and we had like a very, very good discussion. So I thought about like, why don't we discuss like the 4 reasons why your mom is like, why moms are like jealous of their daughters. I thought this would be like a really good like random topic for us to kind of just converse on since we started this support group. So let me give you the 4 reasons why. First thing first, like the number 1 reason why your mom is jealous of you or why a mom is jealous of her daughter is because she's a narcissist or has narcissistic personality traits, meaning that, she just lacks empathy. She has an inability to make real intimate connections with her child because at the end of the day, she just doesn't know how to properly care for and love her child because of her narcissistic traits. Number 2, she is possessive of her man, your father, her baby daddy, any of the things like that. So for example, like when it came to my mother, she was very, very jealous of the relationship I had with my stepfather, even though she knew what was going on, yet she still had this level of rage and jealousy that she wanted to kind of like, have him for herself. Meanwhile, I'm like, sis, he's yours. Actually, take him. I do not want him. Like, keep him away. So then that also starts this, jealousy and rage towards you. Number 3, she regrets her unfulfilled dreams or being able to accomplish everything that she wanted to accomplish growing up. So for example, my mom and the whole graduation situation. My mother was pregnant with me when she was 17. So she didn't have the opportunity to graduate, walk across the stage. So to me, that is the reason why she didn't care if I graduated. She was like, I didn't graduate. I didn't get to walk across the stage and look at me, even though that was very shitty because as your daughter, you should want more. You know what I'm saying? And then number 4 is just being emotionally absent. Like, I feel like a lot of times mothers that are jealous of their daughters is because they didn't have that emotional connection with them. So, for example, growing up, my mother, she didn't have the best relationship with her mother. Like, my grandmother didn't tell her she loved her, didn't do any of those things. So I think for her, she just didn't even have the emotional capacity to be able to show me love and care. So it's really, really hard for her. So I say all that to say, if you have any other examples or you believe there are other reasons why a mom is jealous, let me know. I want to hear in the comments.
I don't care what nobody say, parents can be jealous of their children too. And sometimes parents being jealous of their children will be disguised as tough love. I'm here to tell you they be disguising it and masking it as tough love. Like I used to feel like when I was growing up that my mom used to make our lives harder, like purposely harder, and disguise it as I'm just trying to teach y'all, I'm trying to train y'all up, when all the while she was competing. And you don't notice this stuff when you're looking at your mom like that's my mom, she would never do something like that. But the reality is when you stop seeing your parent as your parent and you start to see them as a person, you start to realize that they be broken sometimes, they be jealous sometimes, they be competing sometimes. And while you never want to think about it that way, the biggest way that you can get yourself free from the strongholds of your parent, from being so bruised and emotionally tormented by your parent, is by understanding that they are a person too, understanding that sometimes the enemy can use them too. They be having things that are making them act in such a way that they cannot properly parent you or mother or father you. And that's a conversation that I don't think is talked about enough.
Question: why is it that black mothers mistreat their daughters just for their daughters to become the only ones they can depend on? Like, let's be clear. I love my mother very much. I am healed. I know that she's not just a mom. She's a human being who had her own mom. And all I can do is break the generational curses. But I'm not going to lie. I just be thinking sometimes like, girl, where are your sons? Where are the ones that could do no wrong in your eyes? Why are you calling the one that you was kicking out every other goddamn week? The one whose phone and shoes and clothes you were destroying? Like, forgiving you for the trauma? Yes. Forgotten it? No. Like, I just think it's so crazy that the most mistreated child always becomes the most dependable. And I mean, I know why. It's because we didn't have a fucking choice. We didn't have a safe space, so we created our own. And now you want me to share it with you? Oh, Jesus.
It gotta be nothing worse than feeling like your own mother don't even like you. Candace been asking me to speak on this topic for forever. Candace, here you go, baby. Some mothers are jealous of their daughters because they grow up to be amazing women and they know that they didn't have a hand in treating that woman right to be treated like that or to act like that. The way that they treated her, she was supposed to be a crash out. She was supposed to bend and gave up on life. But because she believed in herself and she put it in herself that she's not going to be a statistic and she's not going to be what y'all projected onto her, they hate that about you. Some mothers hate the fact that they had daughters that go out here and they're bold. They're not fearful. They don't let life scare them. They live this life shit. They don't let life drive them crazy. Some mothers hate the fact that their daughters are beautiful and get attention without even trying. Some mothers hate the fact that their daughters get the love from men or the men or her man that the mother never got or it took her forever to get. Some mothers hate that their daughter loved themselves enough to not even put themselves in some of the situations that she didn't love herself enough not to put herself in. And that is why some women really hate their daughter, because their daughter intimidates them. Their daughter is a woman that they know that they could never equate to, and that is why they treat their daughter that way. Good morning, y'all. Did y'all get a lip kit yet?
Tell me your mom shouldn't be a mom without telling me your mom shouldn't be a mom. Growing up, my mom...
Baby, it is my time to shine. Let me tell you. I am the oldest child and my mother favors my youngest sibling. When I first started my business and told my mom she could be my assistant, all she was worried about was the money from it. She didn't actually care that, I ran a business. When we fell out last year, she told me that my bed behind me that y'all think is so cute, well, it's from Rent-A-Center. She told me she was going to have Rent-A-Center repossess my furniture, causing me to sleep on the floor in this big ass room I got. When I was in 5th grade, I had a boyfriend. My mom found out and she beat my ass. This wasn't your typical ass whooping. I got out the shower, fresh out the shower. She cornered me and whipped the fuck out of me with a belt. To the point where I was so badly bruised when I went to school the next day, all I could do was cry. She was a lunch aide at the school, which didn't make it any better. Growing up, I used writing to cope with the loss of my great-grandmom. My mom read my journal every chance she got, but would never ask me what was wrong. My mom always labeled me as the mentally ill child. Like for a part 2, because I can keep going.
I have so much to say on this topic, and I have been struggling for a really long time to put into words what exactly I have been feeling or what I have been going through. And I feel like between TikTok, YouTube, and books, it has just summed it up for me perfectly. I was always the little girl that wanted to be like good enough. So I always strive to get the straight A's, or I always strive to be the smart one, or I always wanted to become whatever my mother wanted me to be. So I remember when I was a little girl and my mom used to always say like, oh, you should be a lawyer. And so for the longest time, of course, when people would ask me like, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'd be like, oh, I want to be a lawyer. Till I got older and I realized that wasn't my thing, right? When I graduated high school, I knew for a fact that I wanted to leave. I didn't want to go straight to college. I wanted to go to cosmetology school. I wanted to do hair. I knew this. When I moved back home, because I was raised by my father. When I moved back home to my mother's house, my mother's rule was that you didn't have to pay rent if you went to school, but if you had a job, you had to pay rent. And at the time, I had just literally come from being homeless, and I felt like, okay, well, I'll just go to school, so shit, I got somewhere to live, you know what I mean? But my mother, like, would not let me go to cosmetology school. Like, she was so against it. And I did 2 years of community college, and I, to this day, can't tell you what I learned from it, what I got from it. And every single time I would do something in regards to one of my businesses and they would be successful, she'd always say, like, oh, well, aren't you glad I made you go to school? And I'm like, no, because I didn't learn all of this from there, and I realized that I made a lot of excuses for her. I made a lot of excuses for how she treated me. I made a lot of excuses for how I felt abandoned. And we've had these conversations before, and her and my dad's relationship, even after the divorce, was not the best. But there were some things that were told to me by both of my parents, to be honest with you, but I'll get on my dad in a second. But there was things that was told to me that I look at now and I'm just like, that didn't make sense when I was a kid, and it really doesn't make sense now. Or there's times where we'll talk about things and I'll bring up a memory, and I'm like, were you not in the same place that I was in? And I may tell her something that she did or said was hurtful, and she'd be like, I didn't say that. And I'd be like, yes, you did. Well, you know what? I'm not going to say I didn't say that. I probably did. But if I did, my bad. But I've never truly gotten like an I'm sorry. Like, we just had a misunderstanding not too long ago. And it was my fault. And I did apologize for it. And I took accountability for it. And I told her, I didn't like how you spoke to me. And it was just like, well, if you wouldn't have did X, Y, Z. And it's just like, okay, so never mind what I just said. And I just recall, like, my whole life I've been trying to tell this woman that her behavior and her words have hurt me. She is one of those ones, like, I can remember as far as a little girl, like, if it was just me and her, it was nothing. But, like, if I was around somebody else, she would find a way to, like, shame me or embarrass me, and then she would call it, like, joking. So, for instance, like, when I was younger, I was skinny. I didn't get thick until I got older. And I remember, like, she would always talk about how skinny I was, and it gave me a complex. And then when I, like, gained weight after having my children, she took every opportunity to call me fat. And she knows I had a complex with that. I've always had body dysmorphia. Even when I was, like, really, really tiny, in my brain, even at 100 pounds, I always saw somebody that was, like, morbidly obese. And she knew this. And instead of her saying, you know what, like, you're beautiful, you're this, you're that, she would, like, play on it. I was never called pretty by her when I was a little girl. She would always call my sister pretty. She'd be like, oh, she's the smart one, and my little sister is the pretty one. That's my pretty girl. And I realize now it's just because she looked like her. We definitely are treated different. I've become, like, the emotional support kid because my sister, does her own thing, and we can't find her half the time, but my sister has done just the utmost disrespectful things. My sister has costed my mother so much money, so much strife, so much grief, so many legal cases. And it's like, she'll complain about her, but she comes right back around and it's like they never left. But if my mama says, I like the color blue, and I be like, well, I like pink, it's like I've betrayed her. And it took me so long, you guys, so long to understand that. Like, I'll never forget, like, there was a situation where I was at the post office and we were on the phone and we was chit-chatting, and she was telling me, like, oh, I went here, here, and here. I should have went to your post office. And I was trying to explain to her, because she was like, oh, the people at this one are lazy. And I was trying to explain to her, like, it's not that they're lazy, they're old. Like, so this particular post office, they just put, like, the old people that don't want to retire there. So, of course, they move a little slower. And then I was trying to explain to her that, like, this particular post office that I go to is also a hub. So your mail gets processed a lot faster because most of the mail gets processed through there. Y'all, she stopped me in the middle of the conversation and was like, so, I mean, do you think I'm stupid or something? And I was like, what? and really try to argue me down. It's like I can't disagree, or I can't know something that she doesn't know, or correct a piece of information without getting aggression. She's told me my whole life I'm too sensitive. When I realize I'm not too sensitive, you're just aggressive. And it's like she's triggered when you tell her that she's mean, but it's like, bro, the things that you do and say are hurtful. It's like, if she's not right, then, you're the enemy. And I finally reached a place in my life about a week ago where I realized, like, as bad as I want her around and as bad as I want her involved, I can't take the emotional abuse anymore. I can't take it. I can't deal with it, and I won't. And, I always preach to my kids that, I want them to have healthy relationships with me. And if they're telling me that I'm doing something to them that's harmful, I want them to be able to reach out to me and tell me that, and I'll change that behavior. And if I'm unwilling or unable to just leave me alone, because their mental well-being is more important. And that's where I've come in this situation. And you guys, I could resonate with so many of these stories. It's crazy. Like, for me, the sad part is it's not just even my mom. I think it's just the thing with the maternal figures in my family, period. Because I have an auntie that was my favorite person on the whole planet. And then I grew up and I realized that lady didn't like me at all. Everything that I said I wanted to do, everything I said I wanted to be, she was always finding a way of talking me out of it, or dogging me out, or making fun of me when her friends and things like that were around. And then they started to do the same thing and mistreat me. And it's like, I look at my life now and I'm like, oh, you guys just didn't want me to see who I was going to be. And it's just sad, because I literally have a complex when it comes to this. Like, I have 2 daughters, and I am deathly afraid of ever, 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 ever making my babies feel the way that I feel, or the way that I felt. But anyway, y'all get in the comments. You guys let me know what you think about this topic. Feel free to share your stories with me. This is a safe space. And I will see y'all in the next video. Bye, y'all.